Hey, I'm Eric Bauza.
The voice of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. And you are watching Toying Around.
Hey, what's up? We're here at Heroes World in Markham, Ontario, just 15 minutes north of Toronto. We're going to do some toy hunting and have a chat with the Emmy-winning voice actor of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and many others, Mr. Eric Bauza. Let's go inside. What's up, everyone? My name's Kevin, aka Toying Around. It is Asian Heritage Month, and I'm very excited to chat with a Filipino Canadian voice actor, an Emmy winner, an entrepreneur, Scarborough native. Should I keep going? The voice of a lot of amazing characters, Mr. Eric Bauza.
What's up, Kev? We're here in Heroes World in Markham.
Thank you for having me, man. I've been a fan from afar from a long time, and I know we've met before, but it really is an honor to be here on your channel, and and especially in this place, Heroes World. I've never been here, and as you can see, it's literally wall to wall, everything, superheroes, pop culture, cartoons, everything that you loved growing up, and everything you love as an adult here.
What's the first thing that caught your eye when you came in?
Well, we walked in and I noticed those Batman the Animated Series posters on the wall, and it just brought me back to pretty much every day after school, racing home just to watch that Warner Brothers block of Tiny Toons, Freakazoid, Animaniacs, and then of course Batman the Animated Series.
Is it safe to assume that that's where you first started doing or seeing emulating voices?
It would definitely be Looney Tunes Saturday morning on Global with Bugs Bunny and Tweety.
And the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show. I thought I saw Putty Tad on Global.
They never got to say that, so now
on Global. Now
now I can say it.
Were you an annoying kid the whole time? Was your family just stop with the voices?
Still am that annoying kid. I don't know if you noticed. I was always that kid at the family parties, especially you're growing up with Filipino aunts and uncles who all talk like this with the Filipino accent. You have to do it. It's I can't not hear that and try to copy that, and people laugh. It's funny. We like to poke fun at ourselves.
Yeah.
We have a good sense of humor about it. But I think that's what was the snowflake that started the avalanche, is when you get that one laugh and then, I got a reaction out of that impression, and then you do more and then people laugh. And then they tell you to go home, but you do it again the next day.
So it was is that drive just getting those laughs, getting those reactions?
Yeah, all throughout school, exactly. You said, when you're a kid. And I think it's funny, every kid runs around and does voices, but they probably just sound like a kid doing a voice. But as I got a little bit older, definitely in high school, they would let me do the morning announcements. They knew that I was the kid that would not stop talking during class. So rather than stop that creativity, they actually gave me an outlet for it. So I would hop on the PA system in the morning and read the announcements for the week or the day. In character, yeah.
Nice.
So I'd be like,
hey, butthead, there's a basketball game.
we don't like sports. Yeah, so I would do impressions of cartoons, popular in the 90s. And then, I would leave the office and walk down the hall, and then other students would be like, hey, was that you on the PA system? And I'm like, yeah,
Just walking down the hallway, roaring applause.
Yeah, back by the Scarborough Bluffs at Cardinal Newman High School. That's where I went to high school. So
shout outs to the Bluffs.
Scarborough Bluffs.
So what was the first role where you're the first gig that you got? Because you didn't start with voice acting.
Yeah, it actually started as an internship at an animation studio. I took radio, television, and film broadcasting here in Centennial College. And the third year, I was supposed to go find a job placement. So I found a studio in LA. Luckily, I had my aunts and uncles out there so I could crash on their couch, because I would not be able to afford to live there even in 1999 is when I went out there the first time. Yeah, it was being a production assistant. Then I would move up to doing character layouts, so I would draw.
Right.
I would also edit animatics, so the storyboard with rough dialogue and sound effects. And then I fell into voiceover. People were like, they'll pay you to speak funny. And I broke my pencils and I never looked back.
So did you have like traditional Asian parents who you were just like, I'm gonna do voice acting? They're like, no, you gotta do the big three. It's like doctor or
nurse, Filipino nurse. The top three in the Filipino household is nurse, and nurse. Yeah, it's all Filipino male nurse. That's the name of my book. No, but I didn't take that route. My parents were actually quite supportive of me doing this thing, and
awesome.
I think it's because they saw I was, even if it was like menial jobs like tasks or PA, you got to start somewhere,
right?
And you build from there. But they saw that I was getting compensated for it, and I was doing okay.
Was there one role or gig that you got they were like, okay, this is awesome?
Well, the first U.S. gig that I got was El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera on Nickelodeon, and that was created by Jorge Gutierrez and Sandra Ikiwa. I played a Mexican wrestling dad, a retired superhero. His father was a retired supervillain, and his son, Manny, didn't know if he wanted to be a bad guy or a good guy. So the whole thing was like he was doing both good and bad things. And it was really funny, very, very funny show.
Yeah.
And the voice I did for that was a Ricardo Montalban impression from Fantasy Island. Yes. Manny, do your homework. Yeah.
God.
It was like that. So.
You want to look for some toys?
Yeah, I'm. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to spend my son's college fund. Let's go.
What are you into collecting? Is it stuff that, from shows that you grew up with?
Yeah, I was going to say I'm very conceited. So first off, I'll look at this wall and see if I've played any characters, and I've already found one. And it's rare that I get to say, that if you look at the resume, it's mainly cartoons, animation. So for me to be like Marvel anything is pretty rare. But I've played two characters in the Marvel universe. And one of them was Iron Spider, but it was by way, and if this is Asian Heritage Month, it was Amadeus Cho. Amadeus Cho, the best character in Marvel, he is billed as the 7th smartest man in the Marvel universe. Not 4 or 6 even, but 7.
That doesn't work. For an Asian household, that's not going to fly.
But in the Marvel universe, that's not bad. Reed Richards, number 1.
Right.
Amadeus Cho, number 7. But Amadeus Cho inherits the Iron Spider costume from Peter Parker.
You open all your stuff?
I didn't. Then I have a son who's 7, and suddenly I'm like, yeah, that's that Men in Black laser blaster from 1997 didn't quite hold its value, so I let him open it. It still worked. There were the batteries that were in it were still
from 1997.
We're still producing power. There was a lot of calcium and rust on those batteries.
Oh no.
But yeah, how about you? Do you are a big Marvel guy, or?
Probably like all this stuff here.
Yeah.
This stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff.
Okay,
here.
so pretty much everything everywhere.
Yeah, most of this stuff.
I notice also on the channel you open things. Do you give them away mostly, or are there some things that you have? Oh, okay. Because I was like, you gave something away recently.
It's mostly, that stuff I give away, the giveaway stuff.
The promo stuff, but mostly you are keeping that stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, guys. For the more grown-up nerds and collectors who maybe don't watch Looney Tunes anymore, you played Master Splinter.
Yes.
In Rise.
Yes.
TMNT. You did the voice for
Buster Beaver. Right? Yeah, Buster Beaver and the Boys. That was actually a weird surprise. They had just called me and they said, hey, they had offered me the part. I also worked with the animation studio before voiceover. It was the last studio I worked with, 6 Point Harness, that animated all of that stuff.
That scene was crazy.
I did not know, spoiler alert, how much blood and violence, but it's the boys, right? So what do you expect? I mean, if it didn't have it, it would be weird.
But yeah, that was a weird one. It was the conscience of the character, and
yeah, it works so well though with that show. It actually was very impactful and in a twisted, morbid way. Like these cute cartoon characters are just kind of like
yeah, just going nuts in his mind,
giving you the backstory, right?
Yeah. It's funny because I didn't even know that was you.
Oh, really?
Until I Wikipedia'd it. But I remember watching like the animation style and the voice. I'm like, this has a very kind of authentic feel to it in terms of how the era that it was kind of pulling from.
Exactly. So it had like that Chuck E. Cheese kind of like 90s kind of aesthetic and look to it. But they also kind of wanted like a familiar voice. They said they kind of wanted the character to have a stutter, but of course, one of the most famous characters I have had the chance to voice.
Yeah, Porky Pig, of course.
But we couldn't do that, obviously, because we would have been sued.
For many reasons.
So I tried to do like a bit of a more like realistic kind of, especially when it came to the emotional stuff, to be a bit more realistic with it. And I think it was more effective.
What about Star Wars?
Oh, don't get me started on Star Wars.
In a good or a bad way?
In a great way. I mean, bad for my bank account, good for my bank account, I guess. Because if you hold on to some of these, like
one day,
they could be worth it.
You never know which one.
I'm not going to brag, but I have been to Mark Hamill's house. He did invite me to his house a couple of years ago. It was so nice. He invited a handful of voiceover artists to his house.
He's a legend himself too.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And actually, I didn't. I had a chance, and I brought it with me. I drove all the way to Malibu with it. I had because I'm sure most people would bring a Star Wars action figure to try to get signed.
Really?
I brought a Joker action figure, and I just, I was like, I just want to enjoy this moment. I just kept it in the trunk. I didn't have him sign it. He was so nice. He had like Triscuit crackers and dip and all this stuff, and I was like, what am I doing here?
This is what the stars eat, guys.
This is
This is the scoop right here. Mark Hamill inferred that as
Jedi diet? You got to get the Triscuits in you. That's how many midichlorians are in Triscuits? You would be surprised.
Is that the whole night?
That's the secret ingredient. It's what keeps the Triscuits together.
Oh my God.
But yeah, Star Wars, of course. I have endless figures.
Where do you jump in for Star Wars?
So if
Black
I'm,
Series,
oh my
vintage
gosh,
scale, Hot Toys.
Definitely the Black Series, for sure. I got a lot of these at home. As far as my participation in the Star Wars universe, I have voiced Lego Luke Skywalker. And it's all about whining about Tosche Station. That's the key. No, I'm just kidding. There's more to Luke than that.
That's basically.
Yeah. Aunt Beru, Uncle Owen. Yeah, you just gotta yell like that into the distance. Recently, though, they just premiered Young Jedi Adventures on Disney Junior, and I play
Disney Plus.
And Disney Plus, if you're into the streaming. I play a droid on the show, an original character named EB3. Not coincidentally, my initials. It's kind of weird.
All right, so what are we gonna get?
Oh man,
we're gonna pick up something.
Well, look here. We're getting into the G.I. Joe Transformers section. Asian Heritage Month again. There was a moment in time where I would walk into the toy section at Target, and it was Super Asian Heritage Month for me that time, because it was like I had an Amadeus Cho action figure, there was a Tiger Claw, and a Drift. I voiced Drift for Transformers.
Oh, nice.
On Transformers Robots in Disguise. It was one of the last things that was on the Hub, which was Hasbro's network. Hasbro had a network. Probably one of the first times I got to play Drift. It's funny because at the same time, they had Age of Extinction in theaters as this TV show. So when I was auditioning for it, I auditioned for both, the movie and the show, and my agent was like, hey, they want you in for Drift today. And I was like, oh, great. So I was assuming it was the show, driving towards Santa Monica, which is actually where they record a lot of video game stuff.
Okay.
So I'm like, this is weird. Like, why would they have me, instead of going to Burbank, go all the way to Santa Monica just for the show? So I start driving up to this giant building with a security gate, and there is no name outside the building. So I'm like, what is this place? Am I going to get killed, kidnapped? Is Liam Neeson just going to show up and, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but I have a very particular set of skills. Yeah. So I go through this gate, and I'm walking up, and I see this guy with kind of gray hair and like the loudest shoes, louder than my shoes, just pacing back and forth, yelling at whoever's on the phone. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Michael Bay. So I'm like, wait, this is Platinum Dunes. I was walking into his movie studio, and I was like, I thought this was the TV show. And it was for the movie. They wanted me to actually do temporary dialogue for Drift for the film. And one of the producers was like, you did such a great job, we're going to try to keep you in the movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then a week later, they made the announcement. It was like, Ken Watanabe, the voice of Drift. And I was like, oh,
Damn.
But then I booked the series. The movie comes out. I watch the movie. Ken Watanabe, obviously amazing, great actor, perfect for Drift. Comes out on like pay TV, like, the HBO and Showtime in the United States. And I start getting these checks for like $50 or like $100 residuals from the movie. And I was like, but I wasn't in the movie. So I watched it again. And if you watch that movie, every time Drift screams, it's me. Like every time he gets punched, they used my scream.
Okay. So
Ken was like, I don't scream. I don't want to. No. But every time he gets
hilarious.
like punched, like, ah, like it's me. So if you're a good yeller,
the scream voice of Drift.
There's the theatrical scream voice for Drift. I've had so many weird jobs in voiceover, but also great opportunities, also because of my Asian heritage.
Yes.
So there was a disco Batman Bruce Timm directed movie. One of the bad guys in the film, in the animated film, was voiced by James Hong. And unfortunately, they weren't able to get him in the studio, so he was recording from home a lot. And maybe technically it wasn't as good as being in a booth.
Right.
So it wasn't picking up a lot of noises. And my job was to go in there and add the S's to the words that he didn't finish. So it's like, oh, look at that flock of birds. So I would go in there and go, birds. That's so weird, right?
And then the checks go.
So, hey, man, I'm like, you don't want to yell? You don't want to finish your plurals? Call me. Yeah, I'm the guy. I know. It brings back core memories for sure. But I noticed, is the hair different? The hair was much shorter in the original Lionel, yeah. I was like, because the show, like look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that lion's mane of hair.
That's good flow.
And that's pretty good flow here. But if you pick up, or if you cut to, with the magic of editing, toying around editing, look at that original action figure. I'm like, Lionel got a haircut before he got manufactured into a million different action figures. If you ever make it down to LA, we got to go to Blast from the Past.
Okay.
That is a great vintage toy store. If you haven't seen it before, it's hey, look, there it is.
It's the same hair.
Is it the same hair?
It's the same hair.
I don't know, man.
I'm gonna grab it.
We got to do a Lionel hair compare.
Is it the same hair?
I don't know. Maybe to scale. We have to see.
It's pretty accurate.
Then, if you ask me, you guys got to give him more hair.
More hair.
He's got to have that, like, if you watch the intro to that show, it's out of control. My other weakness is animation cells. That's insane. My holy grail was owning a cell from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but specifically the scene with Mickey and Bugs in the same frame. Mm-hmm. And that hangs in the house, like right when you leave. And again, my son will miss at least 6 months of college because of that. And I'm so sorry, son. Or it's either you miss school or your teeth are going to be so crooked and ugly.
Is there anything that you really love that you want to get into, like a property that you want to officially do a voice for?
Oh man, I was gonna say, I was like thinking about G.I. Joe, but I've voiced Tunnel Rat, Storm Shadow, and Destro.
Nice.
It was G.I. Joe Resolute. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. What's left?
What's left for you to conquer, man?
I don't know. I'm just really lucky. Maybe I should hit the gym more. No, I'm not going to go to the gym. I still have all of my original Todd McFarlane movie maniacs, like Freddy, Jason,
Nice.
Leatherface, Michael Myers.
You gonna open them?
No. Those are the ones I'm going to keep. I also have like all the McFarlane, like Austin Powers figures. I have the original Fat Bastard packaging when it said Fat Bastard, and then they had to change it.
Did they change it?
To Fat B. Also my rap name.
Come on.
Drake was taken, so they're like, well, Fat B is available. Okay, well, I definitely know I have to get Pokemon cards for my son. He's
gonna
like
ask.
insanely obsessed. You're like my
Andre,
dealer. I need a hit.
We're gonna need some Pokemon cards.
Sergeant Slaughter. I shared an elevator with Sergeant Slaughter once. That's who could say that? If there were an animated series that you could be a part of, what do you think? Where would you fit in?
Animated. I would love to be on, The Simpsons.
Oh my gosh! Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Then you and I both have the same dream. I don't think I've been on an episode of The Simpsons yet. I was just in Mario Brothers. I played the Toad General. He was basically the only Toad that went through puberty. He had this like deep voice, like Princess Peach. Bowser's coming to destroy the Mushroom Kingdom. We have to get out of here. I also did the Diddy Kong's voice. He originally had more lines. He was originally supposed to announce Donkey Kong. He was
Okay.
supposed to bring him in. It was pretty cool to be in that movie. It made $1 billion in 26 days.
Eric Bauza as Bowser is a huge miss.
You know,
No, Jack Black's pretty good.
yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad.
He's been in a few things.
I wish him luck.
Have you seen these ones?
They're pretty darn good. It's wow, yeah. Like the detail on these are pretty amazing if you haven't seen them. But like Universal Monsters, who'd have thought, right? Like I feel like there's like a big chart of things that people are drawing columns to. Like what
No.
haven't we done? I definitely know there's
have
one
over
for
there.
Scooby-Doo. It's literally like Scooby-Doo and anything else, right?
There's a Ninja Turtles Cobra Kai
No.
2-pack over there.
What? That I gotta see. Hold on. Where is
Or
this?
the Ninja Turtles Stranger Things.
They're doing that too?
It makes no sense.
This makes sense. That's pretty cool. Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. Now I need to actually see this happen, you know?
You can make it happen in your mind.
Well, that's
With
basically like how, I did Leonardo's voice for Batman versus TMNT.
Oh, nice.
Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. I did Leo's voice, and I always talk about that because it's like that's what I used to do anyways with my action figures. So I was like, I should get credit for this because I basically invented it back in the
They're
90s.
like, why does Eric keep moving his hands like that in the booth?
I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Need this. I'm gonna grab this. This is the Marvel Studios What If
Oh, they
Zombie Scarlet Witch.
I notice you're wearing a Retro Kid shirt, and I'm not. It's laundry day. It's laundry day for me. All of my retro
This
stuff
is
is in the wash.
part of the newest collection, Skydome. Right?
If you're from Toronto, the former home of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Most people will refuse to call it the new name, but this lives on this shirt. How does that? I mentioned entrepreneur in the intro.
Nice.
How did that come about? Was it just like a need to, you're like, I don't have any good clothes. I want to make my own.
Well, I mean, I wish I could say that. There's no shortage of cool shirts in my wardrobe, but the idea came from myself and a high school best friend, Steve Gaskin, who had an itch to scratch as far as creating graphic tees, because we always had I would come from LA and I would always have like a funny shirt on, and he would have like a good one. And we always had kind of like the same humor when it came to like our graphic tees. And nowadays when you say, oh, I want to start a graphic tee company, that's kind of like everyone kind of has a graphic tee company, whether it's licensed or sold out of the back of your car. You know, everyone has an angle, but like my idea for the company was to do Canadian nostalgia.
Right.
Because I was like, there's no Mr. Dress-Up shirts, like at least any good ones that I would wear. It was interesting to have like this company and talk to people like CBC about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do have like their own like little online shop, but it's okay, but like I just want like a big picture of Casey and Finnegan on a shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and we hope to keep expanding and you know, bust out of Canada and you know, work with other great licenses. You know, we've worked with Warner Brothers now, and we're hoping to do some really cool stuff this year, actually. I'm like, in the future, like next week.
That still counts. Why don't you look right there and tell everybody, what's the website?
It's retrokid.ca, and if you're on Instagram, it's retrokid_TO, Toronto, Ontario. It'll appear magically right here.
Yeah, I know how to do that.
I'll do this, and it'll just be there, and you can click on that link or not. If it's too much money, I get it. Is this your go-to place for all of your action figure needs?
Heroes World will, I think after this episode airs, we'll be moving even closer to my house. So to answer your question, in the future, that's good service. They're moving here just for me.
Speaking of Asian Heritage Month, this drops, the new Gremlins animated series drops May 23rd. I voice most of the bad guys on that show. I haven't been able to say who they are, but it's basically like when they came out with Gremlins 2, a new batch, they had a character named Daffy. They had, because it's all loosely based off of like Looney Tunes, but they had like all these like weird bad guys, and I voiced like a bunch of them in the show.
Yeah, there's Ming-Na Wen, isn't it?
There's so many. James Hong is in it.
Yeah.
Randall Park, I believe, is in it. There's so many great actors in it, and it takes place in in the past. It's like Gizmo's origin story. So where he came from, I when they asked me to be like some of the voices, I was like, yeah, I definitely would.
That's another one. Was that another one that you checked off? It's like, well, I want to be part of that.
Gotta check it off the box. See, here's the thing. If they had a, this is Soundwave. If they had anything Metroplex, that was my favorite Transformer as a kid. I owned Metroplex, and he was like that giant city.
Right.
It was a city that transformed into a robot. See, I've been eyeing this too for a very long time. Ed 209 from RoboCop. You have 10 seconds to comply. Like, that was the scariest thing, and then he would just kill you. I know what I'm gonna get. Dead Optimus Prime. the grayed out Optimus Prime with the Matrix of leadership. Yeah, fallen Optimus Prime. I've seen this. I've had so many opportunities to get it, and I always miss it, and It's here. So, and it'll fit in my luggage without getting damaged.
All right, so Eric, we've been planning this toy hunt for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we were able to find some stuff, and thank you for taking some time out to chat with me and come hang out.
Again, I've like dreamed of walking toy aisles on your show, like snooping through. I didn't think you would pick such a classy joint. This is amazing. I loved it, and there would the only way to end it would just be to say,
that's all, folks.
That's it. I tripped.
I keep talking about how nerdy I am.
That's what this is all about.
I know, this is insane.
That is a very specific set of skills.
It is a weird set of skills, but again, my kid has to eat, and I gotta keep the lights on, and I gotta buy toys today.
You gotta buy some.